Alright guys, welcome back to the channel where we track down, body snatch, and react to the wildest videos I could find on the internet. So whether you like it, love it, or hate it, we're going to react to it. Let's get after it.
Let's go back to the four earliest civilizations. These are mass societies. So these four societies that first came into being are China, the Indus Valley Civilization, the Harappan Civilization, which is now northern India, Mesopotamia, which today is Iraq, and of course the last one is Egypt. And of course Egypt was, for thousands of years, the most powerful, the wealthiest, the most influential. Now, when you have a mass society, your biggest problem is social control. How do you control the population?
Good
How do you
question.
get everyone to get along?
But
And in
why?
each society, there are different solutions, okay? So in
The question is why? Why are they trying to control the masses?
China, we developed a bureaucracy. And what underpinned the bureaucracy, of course, is something called the Keju, which is the civil service examination.
Could
So
you?
everyone's attention, everyone's energies was focused on getting their child to pass the Keju to become an official. And that's what gave China social stability. And guess what, guys? It's still around today. Today we call it the Gaokao, okay? But it's the same system, no difference at all.
Huh.
The IVC, the Indus Valley Civilization, created religion. And what's remarkable about the religion is it is one that preached egalitarianism, equality, as well as peacefulness. And their religion becomes the prototype for Buddhism today. Okay? So what the religion was Proto-Buddhism, and for the longest time, the IVC was peaceful and egalitarian. It was a very prosperous society.
That's interesting.
Mesopotamia, the solution was war. The difference between Mesopotamia and other places is that there are no natural defenses. In China, we have mountains, deserts, seas to protect China. But in Mesopotamia, it's a desert. And so it's really easy to attack.
That's
And
like Arizona.
therefore, they had centuries of warfare. And that's what kept their society together, because they were always at war with each other. And with Egypt, the solution was the pharaoh, right? So Egypt is unique in that they believed the pharaoh was God, and therefore everyone had to obey their God. The problem, though, is that the pharaoh was not God.
So you
And
say,
as
my
a
man.
human
So
in
you
charge
say.
of an empire, his life was always at risk. Okay? So now I'm going to ask you a question. What does it take to be a great leader? In school, you're taught what skills do you need to be a great leader? Just
I don't know about school, but I know in prison, to be a great leader, you have to rule with an iron fist.
shout out the answers. Leadership skills, but what are they? What are they? Responsibility, right?
Responsibility.
How about, what else? Wisdom, openness, empathy,
There's a
Mhm.
lot to it, yeah.
regret, respect, yeah. What else? Knowledge, right? Okay, this is what you're taught in school, and we can go on for a long time. Okay, there are hundreds of skills you need to be a great leader.
Right.
Guess what, guys? Wrong, okay? To be a great leader in the world, in history, you need 3 skills. And if you just analyze what the leaders of today are like, it will make sense to you, okay? So Putin, Trump, every leader in the world shares these 3 skills,
Let's see.
okay? The first is unpredictability.
Facts.
People cannot predict how you will behave. You
That
are a
is a
mystery
100%
to
fact.
people. That's the first skill. Second skill is high stress tolerance. So Donald Trump is probably the most hated man in America.
Yes.
Guess what, guys? He goes to bed and he sleeps like a baby.
I bet it does.
He does not care. Okay? He gets up and he's tweeting, he's giving speeches, he's talking to reporters. He's the happiest man alive. He does not care. And so the last skill is lack of empathy.
Yes.
He does not care what happens to other people. All he cares is about himself. And guess what, guys? To do well in life, you need these two.
Every one of our leaders of our major countries, even our smaller countries, have the same things. Lack of empathy being number one.
Three skills. Unpredictability.
I don't know why
Knowing
he did that one last.
How you think.
Have you heard about this new device, the nubbing chip? They say it lets you enter a virtual consciousness, relive your memories, star in your favorite movies, even explore entire galaxies inside your own mind. At first glance, it looks like just another piece of futuristic tech.
What?
But if you visit their headquarters...
Hey, let me know in the comments if you guys would try this shit out. I'm not quite sure that I would. I definitely wouldn't be doing it on the bus or, you know, where somebody could take advantage of me, or steal my things or assault me. You know what I mean? Just why put yourself in that position? If you guys are going to try something like this, do it in the comfort of your own home. If this is even real. If this is not, shame on me for thinking it is.
This is nubbing. Your life. Only better.
There's an actual registration form. Beta testing is already live. And yes, some people have already signed up. Some say it's all just marketing for the new Black Mirror season. But what if it's more than...
AI. 100%. You know how I know? Because nobody uses a 4.5 or 3.5 inch, whatever it is, 4.5 inch hard drive or floppy disk, whatever the fuck that thing is. Hard disk. Nobody uses that. They would have handed you a thumb drive or, I don't know, a wand that you just rub on your ankle or something.
What if this is the soft launch of something real? You introduce it as a trend, show celebrities using it, make it feel normal, and then one day, it becomes mandatory. Maybe it's just clever promotion, maybe it's nothing at all, but deep down, don't you feel like something's coming? Would you try it if it actually existed?
You guys let me know in the comments what you think about that, because I'm not sure I would be. I mean, I would like to try it, you know, just I go in my Oculus every once in a while, but I wouldn't be doing my Oculus out there on the streets, you know what I mean, or at the bus stop. None of that shit, man.
Individuals with pathological tendencies toward deliberate use of force or dominance often exhibit neuroanatomical and functional abnormalities in the neural pathways connecting the limbic system, particularly the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. The amygdala plays a key role in generating basic emotional responses such as fear, rage, and aggression, as well as evaluating threats in the environment. Under typical conditions, this activity is regulated by higher-order brain regions, especially the ventromedial and orbitofrontal cortices, which are responsible for impulse control, moral judgment, and socially appropriate behavior. When these regulatory pathways are compromised due to congenital neural dysfunction, traumatic brain injury, or prolonged psychological trauma, especially in early development, the brain loses its ability to effectively inhibit destructive impulses. This dysregulation may manifest as heightened aggression, impulsivity, reduced empathy, and a lack of remorse. In some cases, decreased activity is also observed in the anterior cingulate cortex.
So what do they do about it,
is
is the question.
Moral reasoning, and the processing
Mind
of
control.
social cues. In such individuals,
medication.
the neural circuits governing emotional regulation
All
operate
part of the
differently.
frickin'
Emotional reactions, particularly anger or arousal, may arise rapidly
narrative.
and with excessive intensity.
All part of the
while
narrative,
brain's
guys.
inhibitory systems fail to activate appropriately. This imbalance makes a person more prone to the deliberate use of force or dominance, particularly when compounded by environmental stressors or underlying psychopathology. For this reason, it is essential to look beyond the act itself and ask why it occurred. A deliberate act of force or dominance, especially if irrational or cruel, often reflects deeper.
I feel that's only acceptable in a situation that in a non-domestic situation, meaning don't just take the abuse and think, you know, why is he abusing me? No, get the fuck out of that situation. If you guys are in a situation where you're being abused by a loved one, dip. Trust me when I say this, there's somebody else that'll love you 10 times better. 1,000 times better. Always somebody out there. There's always gentlemen out there. There's still chivalry out there. Come on. Don't set you guys yourself up for failure. That's insane to me.
I want this half of the room. Y'all Google the definition of impact. And I want this half of the room. Y'all Google the definition of attitude. Dan, read me the definition of impact.
Action of one object coming forcefully into contact with another.
Forcefully. Somebody over here, who has the definition of attitude? Omar, did you get it? What does that say?
This is a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something, typically one that is reflected in a person's behavior.
It's reflected in your behavior. Forceful behavior. Who was saying, let's be more confident, right? Attitude of impact. So decide that you need to learn and use your time wisely. We spent years talking, formulating, thinking, deciding what we didn't like about franchise. We spent years.
Hold on, I'm going to tell you why it's in here.
Making sure that our finances were on point all the time.
What that lady was doing was literally brainwashing them in the office. Anytime you work for, let's just say a sales company. Let's say you're doing door-to-door sales, because I know they exist still. I'm sure of it. Them people make so much money doing that. Anyways, if you're out doing door-to-door sales and you're with a company that is really out to get some money, they're going to make you say what they want you to say. So they're going to bring you in a conference room and they're going to have everybody shouting out different lines of the script that they give you. So they might just randomly point you out as you shout out the script, each line. That is a simple brainwashing technique. They're getting you to do exactly what they want you to do. Now, this happens in much greater, much bigger instances. You know, the government brainwashes our citizens on a daily. You'll learn about that as you watch my show. Let's keep on.
Developed countries, the big winners are countries that have shrinking populations. The social problems that one will have in substituting humans for machines is going to be far easier in those countries that have declining populations. I do go out of my way when there's somebody who's new in their role, a new prime minister. I will spend time. Generally, what I try to do is spend time before they win and meet the candidates. So you have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or
mind
race,
control,
or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
There's a company you've probably heard
mind
of,
control, guys. That's what I'm trying to tell you this whole time. Mind control.
That's larger than the GDP of every country on earth except the United States and China. A company that is the largest shareholder in Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, ExxonMobil, JP Morgan Chase, Pfizer, and 496 other companies in the S&P 500. a company whose software system manages $21 trillion in total assets across the global financial system, a company that the Federal Reserve hired in 2020 to buy assets during the COVID crisis, making it both player and referee in financial markets. This company is BlackRock, and if you own stocks, if you have a 401k, BlackRock votes your shares. Not you. You think you own stock. You don't. You own a claim to stock. BlackRock owns the stock and votes in corporate elections, approves mergers, and shapes policy across the entire American economy. You own nothing. BlackRock owns everything. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is market structure. In 1988, BlackRock didn't exist. Today, it's the most powerful financial institution in world history. More powerful than any bank. More powerful than any previous monopoly. Because BlackRock doesn't just control money, it controls ownership. And ownership is power. Let me show you exactly how BlackRock controls markets through 5 specific mechanisms, how it's different from and more dangerous than Standard Oil or JP Morgan's trust, and why this concentration of power in a single institution is the end of capitalism as we've understood it. Because when one company owns significant stakes in every major corporation, when one AI system manages risk for the entire financial system, when one CEO has more influence than any elected official.
So this is BlackRock is the same company that structured our school's itinerary, if you will, and set it up to where for 8 hours a day, whatever it is that we go to school, you go and learn, and you get in that cycle to where you wake up every day, you go to school or work, and you do your thing, you know what I mean? Only to come home and pay your bills to a company that is owned by the same company that is handling your other shit, you know what I mean? They own so many companies out there that they're just trading amongst themselves. It's crazy. So from 88 till today, they became the largest company in the world. Is that what I just heard? Let me just rewind that.
Bank, more powerful than any previous monopoly, because BlackRock and referee in financial markets. This company is BlackRock, and if you own stocks, if you have a 401k, BlackRock votes your shares. Not you. You think you own stock. You don't. You own a claim to stock. BlackRock owns the stock and votes in corporate elections, approves mergers, and shapes policy across the entire American economy. You own nothing. BlackRock owns everything. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is market structure. In 1988, BlackRock didn't exist. Today, it's the most powerful financial institution in world history.
Most
More
powerful
than any bank.
financial
More powerful than any
institution
previous
in the
monopoly.
history.
Because BlackRock doesn't just control money, it controls ownership. And ownership is power. Let me show you exactly how BlackRock controls markets through 5 specific mechanisms, how it's different from and more dangerous than Standard Oil or JP Morgan's trust. And why this concept. And unlike Vanguard, which is technically owned by its fund holders, BlackRock is a publicly traded corporation. It has shareholders, a CEO, and profit incentives. This matters because BlackRock makes decisions to maximize its own profit, not necessarily its clients' interests. BlackRock was founded in 1988 by Larry Fink and 7 partners. Fink was a bond trader at First Boston who had made a bad bet on mortgage-backed securities and lost $100 million for the firm. He got fired, but he learned something crucial from that failure. Risk management is everything. If you can measure risk...
He learned something crucial from that failure. This is a very important lesson to learn. That dude kept pushing. Watch.
Better than anyone else. You can beat everyone else. So Fink and his partners built a risk management system. They called it Aladdin. Asset, liability, debt, and derivative investment network. This system would become BlackRock's secret weapon. Initially, BlackRock managed assets for institutions, but in 2009, BlackRock bought Barclays Global Investors for $13.5 billion. This acquisition,
God,
the world's largest ETF platform. Suddenly, BlackRock wasn't just managing money for institutions, it was managing money for millions of retail investors through index funds and ETFs. This changed everything, because retail investors don't pay attention to proxy votes or corporate governance. They just want returns, and BlackRock votes their shares. This gave BlackRock enormous voting power across the entire economy. Today, BlackRock offers over 1,300 investment products. Most famous is the iShares S&P 500 ETF, ticker IVV. If you own this ETF, you own a tiny slice of 500 companies, but you don't vote those shares. BlackRock does. And with $400 billion in IVV alone, BlackRock controls millions of votes in every S&P 500 company. Multiply this across...
I can't say that I've been broke my whole life, but I do know what it's like to be at the bottom, you know what I mean? And I also know what it's like to know that I could go in my fridge and grab a meal, you know? If I'm hungry, I got shit in the fridge right now. But there's been times where I didn't, you know what I mean? It would be nice to wake up in the morning, walk out on your back patio with all the privacy you need, with all your morning glory and stretch, you know what I mean? And not have to worry about where my rent's coming from or anything like that. So, this must be nice, man. 400 billion, whatever
BlackRock funds
this dude's
to
worth.
the power. BlackRock votes on behalf of investors who don't even know BlackRock is voting for them.
Breaking news, everyone. Donald Trump orders military action against Venezuela and Maduro. Thanks for watching the Global News Network. But here's the real problem. Russia, China, Cuba, Iran, Turkey, and Syria all give international...
I can't hear it either.
Venezuela.
Barely.
Oh, these Russian aircrafts are bad, everyone. Let me talk to you guys about the F-35s. You guys can start talking about the F-47s, but I don't even think that they'll honestly get through any of these kind of Chinese radar systems or these Russian defense systems, everyone. But this is also a Russian military aircraft. We're not even going to get into the Russian missiles like the Vanguards, the Hiroshiniks, and the Poseidon.
The crazy thing is this goes with mind control. They have us paying our taxes. They have us under all this mind control. Like, what the fuck are we paying taxes for? You know what I mean? So our country could buy missiles that the billionaires around the world have stock in. I couldn't believe it when I found out the president of our country has stock in wartime stocks. That's crazy to me.
America has 0 hypersonic weapons. We've seen the missiles fail in Hawaii, unfortunately. That doesn't make me comfortable. I am an American watching U.S.
That makes me very uncomfortable.
fail in Hawaii. Lands in the ocean. Didn't even get up.
Everything that is going on with the United
that
States,
don't make me
NATO,
uncomfortable.
Ukraine, and Russia, China has just issued a warning, a statement to the United States, and it is a nuclear warning. Articles coming out on this literally in the last 24 hours, this one coming out today, which states China has issued a nuclear statement to the U.S. And as I mentioned, this is directly tied to everything that's happening with Russia. China has now accused the United States of undermining nuclear disarmament and said that they should reflect on their behavior regarding non-proliferation. China accusing the United States of having bad behavior regarding what is going on with potential nuclear war. The criticism by the Chinese embassy in the United States was in response to a senior White House aide that Washington may have to deploy more strategic nuclear weapons in the future to deter threats of...
You guys, I seen a clip of China's nuclear battalion. We're fucking up.
Russia
Thanks,
and
Trump.
China and other adversaries. So China vocalizing their disapproval to the United States, allowing weapons to be used by Ukraine against Russia, and China, we heard, saying do not take lightly the threats that are coming from Russia. I've shared with you in the past 48 hours that we've heard that there are actually warships, submarines that are nuclear capable from Russia coming towards the U.S. coast. They're going to be docking in Cuba, just 90 miles from the United States. And just in the last 24 hours as well, we've heard statements coming out from Russian President Vladimir Putin that he will be providing missiles in various locations that have the capability of hitting the United States, and he is arming the adversaries of the United States. And we have additional confirmation coming out on this as well, as a new article comes out today that reads, North Korea, China, Russia,
They are expanding their nuclear arsenals at this time at a breakneck pace. This coming out according to White House officials in just the last 24 hours. As I mentioned, this article just coming out this morning. And it reads, North Korea, China, and Russia, they are...
Hey, you guys, I just want to say I am anti-war, okay? More than I'm anti-war, is I've changed my life to do good. And if I just change my life to do good and some shit like this happens and I gotta pay the consequences of somebody else's actions, I'm gonna be super upset about it. Super upset. Because I love my life right now. I got a good wife, a nice house, great people around me, and awesome followers.
Expanding and diversifying their nuclear weapons stockpile
Let's
at a
go.
breakneck speed, a White House official said on Friday, warning that the absence of change in the trajectory of their arsenals, the United States may have to increase its own pace, because right now we're hearing that Russia has warned they're going to be supplying additional missiles and weaponry to the adversaries of the United States, and it looks like they're doing just
Well, they better get their shit together because their bombs suck.
that. And we saw a fleet of potential nuclear vessels
That one don't.
going towards Cuba. They're going to be going there from Russia, and Cuba and Russia both saying to the United
Listen, we've already declared... Our president has already said it's game on with these frickin' nuclear subs, okay? Now we're in some shit. Or not nuclear subs, excuse me, the drug subs that are coming down from Venezuela. Now we got China issuing a warning saying they're sending homies down there to protect Venezuela. So
United States, don't worry. Even though these have nuclear capabilities, we're just going to be running drills and tests. None of them are armed with any nuclear weapons that you need to worry about. And many people saying this sounds exactly like what unfolded 2 years ago when Russia began doing drills and exercises along the border of Ukraine. And then suddenly it became a war. And now we're beginning to see these vessels making their way along towards the...
NATO is ready for a war with Russia. That is what the Secretary General has just stated after a press conference, and it comes after Putin.
Hey, do you guys see how this is piling? This is getting crazy. It's fucking getting crazy out there.
Putin's comments just yesterday saying, we're not planning to go to war with Europe, but if Europe wants to and starts, we're ready right now. If you don't know, earlier today, the defense ministers met in Brussels for a meeting essentially to talk about, well, realistically speaking, it's about Russia, but other topics. And then afterwards, the Secretary General came out and gave a little speech. But the big point of all of this is that NATO is an alliance, and NATO says, hey, if Russia truly wants to start a war, we as a whole are ready. And to quote the Secretary General, he says, finally, NATO is a defensive alliance. We will remain a defensive alliance, but make no mistake. We are ready and willing to do what it takes to protect our 1 billion people and secure our territory. You see, right now, Putin's trying to put all the blame on Europe and why peace cannot be achieved, most likely because he's upset he just can't roll into Ukraine and take everything. But the reason why Putin feels threatened is because Russia is actually threatening...
I don't want to go to war, and I really don't want to have to deal paying for somebody else's paying the consequences for somebody else's actions. So, with that said, if you bring a fucking war to my front door, let's party.
And doing sabotage acts inside of Europe. And now Europe is...
Because I'm ready. Let's go.
Up and stop these things before they actually come, so we're going to do these preemptive things. And well, that's what made Putin threaten Europe. Which is ultimately, dude, you started this, we're responding, and now you're getting angry with us. But just so that we're clear, at this very moment, Russia and NATO are not going to war. So don't worry about that for right now. All is good. I'll be sure to keep you updated on this, though, so please do.
You keep telling us, bro. I just seen a whole bunch of shit saying otherwise.
This fact. Okay, can I share this? I don't want to be blamed.
I doubt I could stop you.
I don't want to be blamed if you cannot get to sleep tonight.
No, I'll be okay.
Okay.
All right, let's hear it.
So,
This dark energy in the future will render the universe so large, having accelerated so significantly that all the galaxies of the night sky will have accelerated beyond our horizon.
What?
And all the galaxies are the source of our knowledge of cosmology, of the Big Bang. Everything we know about the history of the universe comes to us from these galaxies. If they accelerate beyond our horizon, the next generation of cosmic explorers will only have the stars of the Milky Way to think about. And so there would have been an entire chapter of the universe ripped
Gone.
from their view. And they will be trying to contemplate an understanding of the universe without a significant part of what its past was. And so I lose sleep wondering, today, was there some previous chapter ripped from the universe itself? And here we are. And here we are.
Damn.
Touching the elephant, not knowing that, in fact, there's an elephant standing there. Or maybe there's the shadow of the elephant and the elephant has been moved. We don't know what we don't know. And this leaves me awake at night. I lose sleep over that.
I am a conspiracy theorist.
Damn!
FBI, my mom was the police, and my grandfather was a lawyer. My brother works federal cybersecurity. That's the only level of cybersecurity that there is. If your life didn't get completely turned upside down for someone to take a cybersecurity job, they don't have any kind of clearance. I have been to federal prison. I was the cartel. I served 4 years and 2 months for a crime I never got caught committing. I know better than anybody.
You got caught committing. That's why you served the time, lady.
A person can put them away for life in the Federal Bureau of Investigation holding facility called prison. So with that being said, you shouldn't take stock in anything that I say. You shouldn't take stock in anything online. Least of all stuff like this. It was very much so. Thank you for keeping everybody's jobs secure in the federal government. Okay, so this is going to put a lot of man hours out, hospitals, everything. All you guys going crazy online trying to figure out what's really going on. This is a time where I like to tell everybody that for myself, I'm finally living because the clarity that I have today, the ability to see that this is life after death, it's very spiritual. It's good versus evil, and you have to figure out where do you stand and who you're going to stand behind and what are you going to believe in and what are you going to teach your children. I recommend that you teach your children that they're not a body, they are a spirit. And everything that, this is what I'm going to tell you about how I've experienced life. Today, I don't know where I am. I don't care. I'm not going to question it. I know I had to go through everything that I went through to get here.
Facts.
Now I have the ability to look back at it, and I see it was a movie. Everything I've ever thought was true, down to the drug cartel until I got to federal prison, when I found out that anybody can be a cartel. I was a boss-ass bitch. I had all my own supply. I had Kansas City on lock. Anybody that you consider a big mover or shaker, they weren't getting anything unless it was coming from me the year that I did all of this. So when you understand everything in the streets is a derivative of a pharmaceutical, you find out quickly.
She's claiming within a year she had it on lock.
That the undocumented, they don't go to prison. They get deported and they come right back. I don't know where the women and children are going. But before I go down this entire road of this, I want to just say, you don't have to watch this movie. You can get your kids off their phones. You can put your phone down and think for yourself. I became the most brilliant when I stopped talking to people around me and stopped researching anything, and I let my blood talk to me. This has scandal written all over it, and I'm going to show you something. Obviously, the names are going to come into play. So the name's going to come down to 62. So basically, what the name is going to come out to mean is a ritual sacrifice. But when you go further than that, I said put the bullet in, a 357 it was. So he put in 357 a couple different ways. It didn't really make sense. So he typed in 357. 187, homicide, murder, ritual.
Following the booms have led us to the other side of the desert. Now we're up against the mountains following the research that we've got in the papers. We're going to try and see if we can find another piece to the Boom Seeker mystery. So we're up what we call Boom Seeker Canyon, and there's this door, and it's locked from the inside. We are listening. You can hear, if you stick your ear to it, you can hear a motor, an engine, or something running on the inside of it. And there's a ton of traffic on the ground here. I'm hearing Boom Seeker Gap, as we
It's probably an oil rig, bro.
call it. And there is a lot of traffic on this road here. You can look behind me. It's not much of a road. We're 50 miles from a Coke machine here. Out in the middle of nowhere. No one lives anywhere close to here. This is highly uninhabited area, and there is a ton of traffic here. As far as on these roads, lots of tracks, vehicles moving around the hills. December in Idaho, in the mountains, a bunch of traffic that goes nowhere. Kind of wondering what's going on.
Well, guys,
I found this book at the local
not done.
shop yesterday, and it was written in 1926
Wait a
by Major
minute.
General Count Sheriff Spiridovich. The Secret World Government, or the Hidden Hand, Unrevealed in History, 100 Historical Mysteries Explained. This man is explaining that there is a hidden hand, there is a secret government, and they are of the nature of the individuals who are taking over now, the blues with a J, that they are the ones.
Man, we ain't even, we might be halfway through it.
because they made a pact with a god. He calls it Satan, but that's his position. But I want to read to you this very specific. I have to be careful about what. I really was trying to debate whether to put this on the internet at all because it could really get me in trouble. But this particular page, I just want you to see this particular part where he says right here, he's talking about proof of the existence of this invisible world government, this hidden hand. He says, the world is governed by very different personages from what is imagined by those who are not behind the scenes, i.e., not by kings and ministers. Disraeli said not others, but different, which means not the kings, ministers, or other similar men, but absolutely different, possibly even of a different race. Who they are must be
Reptilian?
known first of all, and only then can we control them and establish peace, but not before.
Again, guys, mind control.
You know how I'm always saying I'm calling them creatures and creeps, and I'm saying they're not human. I don't know what
I
they
didn't
are.
mean to have that right
And
there.
This has been my biggest reason around this. I ain't unifying because I don't know what these things are.
No one does, hon.
Apparently has been known. This has nothing to do with religion. I'm not talking about religion or race. I'm talking about like a species of a soul or something that's on this planet. And that's what he's talking about here.
Look at
He
this.
says, Bismarck, the Iron Chancellor, perceived the existence of invisible forces, but could not or did not wish to formulate them, and called them imponderabilia, powers which no one could fathom. I think I saw where you could get this book, like a free PDF, and read it. I didn't try the link, but I did see something come up in my Google search about it, so maybe you can find it and read it. I don't know how available it is to get your hands on, but this is a very valuable book. He says I haven't finished reading yet, but it looks like he's about to tell us why France and Russia went into the War of 1812. He said it was a hidden hand that organized it. He says earlier also that the Civil War was absolutely 100% organized, and nothing about that.
Well, we know that.
Organic or
If you know, you know, right, guys?
Story that they told. But yes, I recommend if you could get your hands on this book. If you
The
Google this guy,
Secret
it's gonna say he's
World Government,
racist and
or the Hidden Hand.
Semi-truck. But that's because of what he says in this book.
But
did you know CIA agents use a
I
secret
couldn't see who it
3-second
was
rule
by.
to read anyone instantly? Here's the classified technique they don't want you to know. When you first meet someone, watch their eyes during the first 3 seconds. If they look up and to the right, they're creating a lie. Up and left means they're recalling a real memory. Down means they're accessing emotions. This technique was used in CIA interrogations with 93.3% accuracy. Now you can spot deception before anyone even speaks. Next time you're talking to someone, remember, the truth is always in their eyes.
In 1973, psychologist David Rosenhan
Damn.
carried out a daring experiment. He and several colleagues walked into psychiatric hospitals claiming just one symptom. They said they heard voices whispering words like empty and hollow. That was it. Every single one was admitted, diagnosed with serious mental illness. Once inside, they acted completely normal, yet doctors and staff still treated them as if they were sick. Their normal behaviors were twisted into signs of disease. Patient is taking notes, obsessive writing. Patient is waiting patiently, compulsive behavior. Some were kept for weeks. One pseudo-patient was hospitalized for nearly 2 months. None were detected by staff. The only people who noticed were actual patients who whispered, "You're not..."
That's because those places ain't ran by, oh, we actually see your symptom as what it is. It's ran by
Not crazy, are you?
money.
The Rosenhan experiment exposed a disturbing truth. Once a label is applied, everything you do is filtered through it. So here's the question. If sanity can be mistaken for madness so easily, how much of mental illness is perception, and how much is reality? Follow to Enter the Dark Psych, where we uncover the experiments, tactics, and truths shaping the human mind.
All right, guys. Now that is it for the show. I appreciate you guys coming in and checking out all the content that I've been putting up. And again, I hope you guys are having a great holiday season. If you guys are liking the content, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, hit a like, show some love, interact with the channel. And until next time, much love and stay lifted.